You're listening to the Trading Bear podcast. This is episode 47, The Daily Show.
Mystery player. Position.
Forward.
Start price.
76p.
Current price.
£1.83.
PB.
7p.
MB.
0.
Dividend yield.
3.8%.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining again. In today's news, Tottenham make Liverpool's Champions League match seem boring as a second half hat-trick from Brazilian Lucas Moura secures a final spot for Daniel Levy's men in the 96th minute of normal time. The risers and fallers list once again dominated by an extraordinary turn of events. More on those players shortly. Elsewhere, in Spain, Barcelona face a summer clear-out, with as many as 10 senior players leaving the club, including the likes of Samuel Umtiti, Philippe Coutinho and Ivan Rakitic. That's according to Diario Sports. The same outlet recording that fierce rivals Real Madrid, seemingly undeterred by Chelsea's transfer ban, wanting to exchange the €30 million rated Kovacic, currently on loan at Chelsea, with the €100 million rated Belgian star Eden Hazard. The deal is said to be close to completion on the personal side with Hazard, with a 5-year deal agreed, and now holds on the two clubs agreeing a suitable fee. And lastly, the will he stay or will he go Max Allegri saga at Juventus continues today, as reports now state that Antonio Conte is now heading to Inter and not Juventus. Allegri's position is under extreme threat due to Allegri allegedly wanting more input on transfers, did he want Ronaldo for example, as well as seeking a personal pay rise. Sky Sport Italia, normally pretty reliable for any news emanating from Italy at least, claim these demands are enough to see Allegri and Juve go their separate ways. One man that is never in the papers for being demanding, despite having the stature and stats to back it up, should he wish to, is today's riser Harry Kane. The easygoing England and Spurs captain rose 37p in the last 24 hours to take his current price to £4.76. This was largely on the back of Tottenham's superb comeback at the Johan Cruyff Arena last night, which saw several other Tottenham players also rising, including hat-trick hero Moura by 26p and Dele Alli by 13p. So why did Kane rise the most despite not even playing? Well, the market loves an injured player, especially one that is seen on TV running onto the pitch to join in the celebrations. The player himself later confirmed he hoped to be fit in time for the final on the 1st of June, before representing England at the Nations League. It was less than 30 days ago when Kane fell dramatically to £3.87 after injuring the same ankle as previous that caused panic amongst the market. A £1 rise in that short period since just demonstrates how quickly a truly quality player can bounce back. Some players rise gradually and deservedly, others can rise too fast and furious, as the great spokesman Vin Diesel once famously said. Today's faller is a perfect example of this. I spoke in recent episodes about the need to be extremely careful with the purchase of Ajax players, and as soon as their Champions League fairy tale run expired, so would the prices of many of their players. And yes, the circumstances they went out in ultimately only made the situation worse, with unexpected events always creating more panic in a market as rational thinking goes out the window. The trio of David Neres, Donny van der Beek and Matthijs de Ligt took the brunt of the impact then, falling 27p, 26p and 24p respectively. Remember, all three of these players fit current trends of young and strong transfer links, which just goes to show how careful you must be with buys like this. Prices for Ajax players had long been overheated, and it was only going to be a matter of time before they came crashing back down. If you're one of those traders that got burnt on one, or indeed some of these players, file it in the lesson learned folder and learn for next time around. On a brighter note, we go into this episode's prospect player now, a player who I feel could do well in the near future and attract buys. For this episode, we head near to the French Alps and the city of Lyon. Lyon have long been that mercurial club in terms of football index, with seemingly great potential in a number of players, or never quite sustaining constant level performance due to various factors. The likes of Nabil Fekir, Bertrand Traoré, Moussa Dembele, joining this episode's prospect player, Memphis Depay, in cutting frustrating performances sometimes. But there's no doubting the talent when it clicks. The reason for this suggestion, however, is not just to do with the club duties. Lyon still have lots to do to secure their Champions League spot next year, and with games against Nimes and Kane have the platform to do this. But it's the fact that Depay also has the Nation League duties with the Netherlands early in June that boosts his prospects, resulting in the fact that Depay now potentially has 5 in-play dividend eligible games to play. And if all else fails, he has constant transfer links to act as an exit point. So everything to play for in the league, bonus games internationally, and a possible transfer to boot. This episode's prospect player is Memphis Depay. On a side note, last episode's prospect player, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, has scored for Chelsea in a Europa League match tonight, a win then for the prospect player section. Let's hear some of your questions now then. This episode's first question comes via Index Gain, with Findex Frog writing, would you agree that many traders overuse yield ahead of peak scores? Yield is down to an element of luck, while peak scores are evidence. Interested to hear your thoughts. Well, firstly, Findex Frog, let's just quickly define yield and peak scores for any new traders that perhaps may not know what these terms relate to. So peak score is very simply the highest PB score that player has achieved by playing in an actual match. The current highest peak score by any player this season is 365, scored by Neymar. To see this season's top 10 highest peak score players, along with their average score, check out my Twitter page @TradingBear1. A high peak score indicates that on any given day, that player has the attributes to explode and be in with a chance of winning PB dividends. Players like Grimaldo and Guerreiro at Benfica and Dortmund respectively, for example, also sit in the top 10. The average PB score tells us whether or not the peak score was a freak one-off or due to being PB suitable. Yield is how much dividends that player has actually returned relative to their price. For example, if Neymar was £10 and he returned £1 in total dividends this season, he would have a yield of 10%, a pretty decent figure or baseline to base on. However, these dividends may have been won on a single game days with a fairly low score. So which is a better indication of future returns, yield or peak score? As always, you have to look at the data as a total package and not in isolation. I personally use yield as a starting point. I recommend you subscribe to a data package if you can. There's plenty out there that do a good job. I personally use Index Gain, but shop around and find a package that suits you. After looking at the yield percent, I then delve deeper into how they achieved that yield. Was it PB? Was it MB? Was it a lucky PB win? I would then look at how many times they achieved a PB score of over 200, for example, usually enough to be in and around to win matchday dividends. So Findex Frog, while I agree with you that there's definitely an element of luck involved with yield, and peak score is a better judge of pure evidence, if looking at future returns, I think you have to use both alongside each other. The second question comes from Twitter, with Frank FI writing, who has been your longest hold on the index, and who has been your shortest? Thanks, Frank. So, my longest hold is one of 2 players depending on how you define longest hold. In terms of consecutive days, my longest hold is Neymar, who I've now held for 143 days since I first bought him back in December 2018. However, I've actually held Pogba for longer overall, just not consecutively. I bought last year, then sold in early March of this year, before rebuying in late April. Altogether then holding Pogba for 158 days. So Neymar or Pogba, depending on how you wish to choose. After those 2, the hold period is dramatically reduced. I have an average hold period of 15 days since I joined Football Index in August 2018. Currently, my longest hold after Neymar is Yannick Carrasco, who I've now held since February. As for the shortest hold, well, there's been a few that I bought and sold on the same day. Some even spur-the-moment erratic decisions, which I've then sold just a few hours later. These include the likes of Barkley, Pulisic, Oliver Skip at Tottenham, and 500,000 a week Manchester United flop Alexis Sanchez. In general though, I like to hold my players for a 3 to 4 week period before moving on to the next target. And that's it for this episode. You can download and subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify and Podbean. Head over to the website to send in a question, tradingbearpodcast.com. Alternatively, you can find me on Index Gain or Twitter under the name Trading Bear. Thanks for listening and stay tuned for the mystery player.
Mystery player. Position.
Forward.
Start price.
76p.
Current price.
£1.83.
PB.
7p.
MB.
0.
Dividend yield.
3.8%.
Trading bear. Today's mystery player was Bayer Leverkusen forward Julian Brandt.